when I was looking at your team there, it wasn't necessarily very well set up for the double game week 26. So it's interesting to hear that you're using the free hit rather than using it for a blank down the road. Who are some of the players that you're targeting this week?
For me, I probably will go in with a forward line, probably Watkins, Kane, DCL, and keep it fairly simple in the midfield. Gundogan, Salah, Bruno, Son, maybe Barnes. There is the KDB temptation as well, but I mean he's just sort of coming back from injury, so will he play both? And then a lot of people are having the discussion about the double Man City midfield, but then you're limiting getting in some of the big hitters as well. So I mean, even a guy like El Ghazi, possibly with the Grealish out for Aston Villa, could be decent, and you've got your normal Sterlings and Mahrez's hanging around there as well.
It's interesting. So you're not turned off by Aston Villa at all, because I've noticed that they've been a bit leggy lately. They're missing their star player now for however long he's going to be out. Why do you have faith in Villa going into this double game week?
I think for Watkins, it's just pure opportunity. I mean, I'd obviously like to have Vardy there, but it's very difficult fitting Vardy and Kane in if you want a decent sort of midfield. And I think with the opportunity he's getting, and El Ghazi can be quite industrious in the midfield there if he gets a chance. So I'm just hoping it plays out like that. I mean, in defense, you can also sort of attack with Pereira and the likes of Dean and the Spurs boys as well. And even the Aston Villa fixtures are looking good. So from a free hit perspective, there really are quite a lot of players to choose from.
I like your shout for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, although anytime there's this season where there's been a blank or a double game week, he's let me down big time. But the one I really want to talk to you about, though, is Kane, because Spurs are in a really rotten run of form. It's Mourinho's worst as a manager. I sold Son a good while ago, even while he was still doing quite well, because I felt like Spurs would tail off. I didn't think it was sustainable, the level of goals that Kane and Son were getting. And I think that's shown over the last couple of months now, that it's just not quite as potent as it once was. People were targeting this game week as a potential triple captaincy for Harry Kane, which I think it has to be dead in the water. I don't think it's a reliable pick anymore. Would you be worried at all about that in relation to Spurs assets? Because a lot of people are going to be on Son and Kane for this week.
Yeah, for me on Kane, I want him in the team, but I'm not specifically going to give him the captaincy. I think it's probably going to be Bruno, just because he keeps popping up with returns left, right, and center. This guy, I don't know, it's absolutely incredible. But it was encouraging in the second half of the Spurs game when Bale actually came back on, and then it was looking a little bit more interesting. Kane almost got an assist to Son if he'd been closer to that cross he put through. So Kane's on penalties, and the big thing, he's going to play 90 minutes both times, which is huge.
And he nearly got an assist as well for that Bale shot that came off the crossbar. And I was watching that going, how did Kane not get a return here? So I wasn't too disheartened about Kane not returning in that game. I brought him in the wild card as well. So I'm hoping he'll do something. But I mean, I could definitely see Burnley just sticking up two moats in front of Nick Pope and just saying, come at us, Tottenham. So I'm not looking forward to that game at all. I'll probably give that one a miss, to be honest with you.
I'd rather watch the Fulham one.
Well, look, actually, Fulham are my team, so I definitely will be watching that and hoping. No. I mean, that's the funny thing, is that I'll be hoping that we definitely frustrate them. So it's going to be a weird one for me with Kane. Just quickly on Liverpool, I mean, just an extraordinary run of form for them. I, for some reason, started Trent Alexander-Arnold in this game week and immediately regretted it. Thought, what the hell am I doing? I mean, it's such a weird one. Would they be an avoid for you in this game week?
I think it's an avoid from a defensive point of view for me. I think, listen, you literally can't survive with those defensive injuries that they've had. And Salah is really the only one for me. He's still putting up fairly respectable stats, and he's still returning decently. So I'm willing to roll with Salah even at his price, because if he really goes off, you're going to feel it in the rank drop.
Yeah, one team I'm definitely targeting, I think this week, is Leicester, because I've already got Harvey Barnes and James Maddison. You mentioned Jamie Vardy there, so I can't afford to get him in, so I might just sneak him in. And now you've made me think that even though I have other single game week players to get rid of, I might just ditch Alexander-Arnold. I'm basically hoping on that Sheffield United fixture being a clean sheet. But who do you think, who's going to be the sneaky kind of asset to own this week? I mean, there's always a couple of players in a double game week that we all overlook, and we then end up going, why didn't we get him? It was so obvious, even though it wasn't really all that obvious. Do you, with your free hit now, knowing that you can just transfer in anybody you want for this week alone, is there anybody there that you're looking at and saying, do you know what, I fancy him?
I don't know. Look. I mean, I think Pereira at Leicester, a lot of people are nervous to transfer him in because of his injuries, and will he play, won't he play? But I mean, the way Rodgers is talking, I mean, you might literally have a double game week winger playing in defence. So for me, he's a good shout, and also one of the Aston Villa boys, Target or Mings, potentially in defence. I mean, they've got a fairly good 2 fixtures there as well.
But I see you're in the Crystal Palace League. Can I assume that's your team?
Mateta, that was good last night.
Yeah, that was a brilliant result, pulling away from Fulham in the bottom 3, of course. I suppose one sneaky shout I would say is maybe Diagne of West Brom. I mean, if you really wanted to go out of your way, just make a really mad decision, I think he's just looked great for West Brom and has popped up with a few returns, and he plays Brighton and Everton. Maybe he'll be the one to pop up with a surprise return.
That's a very interesting one, because I actually just literally traded for him last night in one of the draft games.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I'm definitely backing him, and he actually slipped my mind now, but he's a very decent shot.
Excellent. Well, I was going to ask you about captaincy, but it sounds like you're going to go with Bruno, which I think the majority of people will. I know most people are regretting not going for Bruno this week.
Yes,
as the
me
captain.
As well.
Yes, I went for Bamford, and I'm like, God damn it. But I just felt with that, that whole effective ownership stat has really gotten to me, and I really feel like, what's the point in having Bamford if you're only going to get half the points that everyone else is going to get?
True. Is there a possibility that Bruno gets over 200% effective ownership? I mean, it'll be crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we leave you there, Kevin, I noticed that up on top is Ola Hovde. I think he's been on top since October or something ridiculous. He's been there for a long time now this season. You're within 50 points of him. I saw that he had a pretty poor week. It looks like he's going to be well below the average score, I think. Do you think you can catch him between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, look, anything's possible, but it'll really take a lot of luck, especially on captaincy decisions. If you get those right, you've got a chance, I think, because everyone's starting to stack together a little bit closer than they were. And I think he went a little bit maverick with, I think he captained Ben Mee, and sometimes those things pay off and sometimes they don't. But if it paid off, we'd have no chance of catching him.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we wish you obviously the best of luck with the rest of the season. There's going to be lots of twists and turns. I think all these double game weeks are going to have some big shakeups. You're going to see people move up a lot, and you're going to see people get some massive red arrows as well. And we're going to be rooting for you towards the end of the season, mate.
Thanks so much.